Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this webinar. This is a short land-based technicals update webinar with myself, Bea Heard, and my colleague John Ray, who is in the room as well. And we are both technical advisors for the land-based sector for City and Guilds. This webinar is specifically about technicals and some of the updates that we have put in place since last year, but also a little bit of an aid memoir of where to find various bits and pieces that you will require for delivery for this academic year. So the areas we're going to cover are the exams timetable, where there have been a few changes, a little bit about handbook content, the synoptic assignments, optional units, and resources and support. If you do have any questions, please feel free to start typing them at any point through this presentation, and we will, or John will be looking into answering those towards the end. Apologies, we're just having a few issues moving the deck on. Okay, hopefully we've got this working now. So this webinar will be available within as a PowerPoint presentation as well. So as you will see on this, we have the exams timetable shown with a web link. That link will take you straight to the exam timetable. There have been a couple of alterations this year, and for those of you that are not aware, originally the Year 1 Level 3 Agriculture exams were scheduled at the same time as the Year 1 Level 3 Animal Management exams, and this has now been changed. Please ensure that you do look at the latest version of the exam timetable to ensure that there are no changes that have occurred since. We certainly do not envisage any, and we have not heard of any issues reported by anybody since that particular one. So, synoptics for 2019-2020. The assignments were released to the website on the 2nd of September this year, and any changes to assignments will result in a new version being published to the website. This has already occurred, so differently from last year, instead of waiting until all of the feedback forms were in and making changes at the beginning of December, some changes have been made already. These will be quite clear and be identified by the version numbers. The minor changes that have been made thus far have been to Level 2 Animal Care, Level 3 Animal Management, and that is a marking grid in one of the Year 2 pathways, Level 3 Forestry and Arboriculture, and Level 2 and 3 Land and Wildlife. We are in the process today of putting together a summary sheet that is going to sit on the website that will show the changes that have been made to date to ensure that everybody has full sight of this information. We would ask that you continue to send any feedback back to ourselves on the feedback form, and we will take you to where that is shortly. One of the major changes this year is that the assignment briefs themselves may be released to learners up to 4 weeks prior to the release of tasks, and this was as a result of feedback from centres. Please can I implore you to make sure that you not only read the assignment brief and the tasks, but you look at the associated tutor and centre guidance that has been written as well, as this will help you form your opinion about that particular assignment. With respect to internet access, please read the task guidance. In the majority of the tasks this year, internet access will not be permitted during the write-up, although there are 1 or 2 exceptions. Evidence for estate skills can now be collected at any point prior to the commencement of the synoptic window. This is as a result of feedback that some of the tasks, it was quite difficult to get them formally assessed within the synoptic window, and it is one of those skills that some learners will get more quickly than others, and quite often it is taught more broadly across the curriculum. Therefore, it was felt in this case it would be suitable for evidence for estate skills to be collected over a longer period of time. For the actual tasks, you will need to refer to the assignments, as obviously they are different across each sector. With respect to the assignments themselves, the briefs and the guidance for centres and tutors now contains more detail. And these briefs, as we've already said, can be released to learners up to 4 weeks prior to the first task being undertaken. Where applicable and where research is recommended and suggested, learners have 2 weeks to produce their notes. We would then ask that they submit those notes if they've done them. There is no mandatory requirement that they should, but 2 weeks before they sit their first task, those notes need to be submitted to the tutors who, if they feel they need to, can sense check them. This is not a mandatory requirement, but it would enable, if a learner had decided to try to see where an assignment perhaps had been pre-written, where it had been second guessed and had been produced as part of those notes. At the start of the write-up for any task, those research notes can then be given back to the learners to use. We do ask, however, though, that you retain the notes once that write-up has been submitted or that task completed, such that if they are required during the moderation process, they can be viewed by the moderator. The synoptic feedback form sits under the Technicals and Tech Back page under the Resources and Support tab. The little clip just shows what it's called. It's actually at the bottom of a list of support documents. Later on in the presentation, we have a slide which actually shows the full if you click on the drop down, it shows what it'll look like and shows where that synoptic assignment feedback form sits. For your feedback to be considered, whether it's a point of clarification or somewhere that you think or something that needs to be changed, these forms must be returned to Technicals Quality at cityandguilds.com by the 31st of October, so by the end of this month. Any final updates as a result of those forms will then be published to the website in early December, but as stated there, they will also be added as soon as they occur, and the list that we're putting together at the moment to show the changes that have occurred so far will be updated on the website. So just a quick reminder When landing on your technical subject pages and entering the document tab, the content under each piece is as follows. The centre documents contain the qualification handbooks, the centre guides, and the study programme fact sheets. The study programme fact sheets were put together to show small course and additional qualifications that could be added to a programme of study that is part of the technical qualification. Under the Assessments tab, you will find the optional units, and that will be versions A and version B for level 3. You will find your live synoptic assignments, your past exam papers, your past synoptic assignments, qualification reports going back over your years of delivery, and this is where the exam guides now sit. So for those of you that were familiar with them being under the Centre Document tab, they have now moved under the Assessment tab. With respect to resources and support, on the right of the slide, you will see the list in its expanded form. Key are the welcome pack and the checklist, which will give you the timelines that you need to follow for this year. The exams timetable that we have already mentioned. The contact update form. This is essential. It is really important that Sitting Guilds have the main contact details of those people within the centre who are responsible for the delivery of technicals within a subject, as well as the contact with the technicals quality team. Because of GDPR, we are not able to keep using our own personal contact lists for sending out information. So we need to make sure that those contact details are up to date. By completing that form, you are giving us permission to send you emails about technicals. Please, can this not just be exams officers and centres? There were some issues last summer where exams officers had been contacted regarding the requirement for extra evidence, and because they were on leave, were not able to get that information through to the correct people. So that's really, really crucial. Also, within that list of documents, you have your guide to teaching, learning and assessment, how to book assessments, the employer involvement guide, the marking moderation guide, etc. etc. You've got the employer involvement planner, a sample employer involvement planner as well. So a whole host of documents are there to support you for your learners. And as you will see right at the bottom, there is the synoptic assignment feedback form, which, as we've said before, must be completed by the end of this month in order that your concerns can be considered and addressed. Coming shortly are exemplar documents, exemplar assignments that have been created by the principal moderators to support you in the standardisation and marking process. These are going to be made available on the website at the end of this month, but we will also be sharing examples of them at our series of regional networks, which are taking place through the whole of November. There'll be a little bit more detail on that shortly. So, work experience within level 2 and level 3. It's remaining at 150 hours as the minimum amount for both levels, and as you will be aware, level 3 has a standalone work experience unit, but level 2 does not. The requirement for the 150 hours work experience has now been further clarified in all of the handbooks for the level 2 technical certificate qualifications. The evidence of that completed work experience can be requested by Sitting Guilds for audit purposes at any time. So although there is no box to tick within the moderation portal, Sitting Guilds will audit level 2 work experience across a number of centres in this academic year. The guidance around what is and is not work experience has not changed, and centres may continue to use their own commercial facilities as part of that work experience. Employer involvement. Again, this remains unchanged, and the handbook actually sets out quite clearly what the DFE deemed to be employer involvement. The vast majority of you have used excellent programmes of external work experience to meet this requirement, and in my travels around centres this year, I have also seen evidence of some fantastic guest lecturers and speakers who are coming in to share their knowledge and skill with learners, which is fantastic and all meets that requirement. As previous years, centres who are in their first year of delivery will be asked to submit an employer involvement planner to the technical quality team during this autumn term, just to check that it is on the right lines. Completed employer involvement records must be uploaded onto the moderation portal by June the 12th next year, along with optional unit and mandatory units. These employer involvement records will be moderated. So, next slide. This is the detail of our regional networks that are taking place over the next month. There are 3 in the northern half of the country, and there are 3 in the south. And I'd just like to say a thank you now to the 3 host colleges in the south who have made their facilities available for people to attend. Please can I ask people to get signed up to those, and they will not, the content within them will not just cover technicals. It will look at work-based diplomas, it will look at land-based studies, we'll be looking at EPA, vet nursing, etc. So it'll be quite a broad agenda for the day, and if you click into the links to book onto the events, you will see how the day is split, as that has already been uploaded. You can access these either through links on this presentation, or if you go onto the events page on the City and Guilds website, the events box is actually at the bottom of every page. Click into that, it comes up with a calendar, and then if you go into November and look at those dates, all the details for joining will be there. Just one request, please, for those of you who are in host colleges, please can you make sure that you still book yourselves in, as this enables us to control numbers. So for any further information or any questions that you don't ask now, please feel free to email either myself or John at any time at all. Contact the technicals quality team. They are incredibly supportive when it comes to the delivery of technicals, and or you can also contact the customer support team. So if anybody does have any questions, if they would like to type them in, we will endeavour to answer them. So one question with respect to employer involvement. There is not a new template for employer involvement. However, you don't have to use the one that's on the website. If you have something that you've produced within college that you find a lot easier to use, it is absolutely fine for you to use it, as long as it can be uploaded to the moderation portal at the correct time. So the next question is, are the POF forms changing this year for synoptic assignments or synoptic assessments, the practical observation forms? They are not, so how can I say, they're not changing. There are going to be, to my knowledge, and I will confirm this with the team, there are going to be choices. The original POF forms didn't have breakdown into other areas, and it has been suggested that it would be easier if the POF form was just AO3, and that when people were completing those forms, they were not thinking about the other assessment objectives. My understanding, but I will get this confirmed, is that you will be able to use either or. So an AO3 only type POF form, and or the one that's been subdivided into the 5 assessment objectives. Next question, we're just struggling to see this one. For some reason it won't. Hang on, here we go. If we are delivering the 720 and 1080 for the first year, do we need to submit another employer involvement planner? No, the answer to that is no. So the next question, when are the assessment windows from and to? So the synoptic window opens for assessment at the beginning of January and closes on May, I want to say 15th, but I haven't got a calendar in front of me, but it is the middle of May. Those dates are outlined in the welcome pack, and they are also in the checklist. With respect to the exam dates being moved 2 weeks earlier than last year, I don't know the answer to that. We will ask the question and we will get back to you. So the next question, are the 150 placement hours in addition to the 540 for the level 3 qualification or embedded as part of the 540? No, they are in addition to, although there may be circumstances where some of the hours included for that work experience are learners doing unit duties, and those unit duties may well have been planned into that 540, so there could be some crossover. So the next question, any thoughts to making the work experience unit optional for any learner at level 3 doing an industry placement? we cannot make any changes to the qualifications at all. So even if we thought we wanted to make it optional in that circumstance, we wouldn't be able to, because the DFE have put an embargo on making any changes. However, I cannot see why an industry placement would not count for that work experience anyway. I am unable to see any further questions currently. Therefore, oh, hang on, here's another one. We have students that need to resit last year's synoptic as they will need to complete this year's prior to doing the year 2. Are we not allowed to do? No, I'm afraid not. The synoptic window is from January until May the 15th. Thank you very much, everybody, for your participation. And please, just as a final plea, can you make sure you have contact details up to date, but can you also make sure that you sign up to my preferences, so that if there are focus alerts that need to be released, you know that for land you are receiving them. Thank you very much.